Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Plan B Success. We have Miranda Mitchell with us today, all the way from Florida. And Miranda is someone who believes in stillness, meditation, energy blueprints, and finding yourself among all these. That's what we're going to focus on today. What she calls human design is what she calls it. And we'll hear about it from her as to what she does and how do people really benefit from it. So welcome, Miranda.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so going into a little bit of the energy part, I have realized that energy is a huge part of who we believe we are and who we are potentially. And how I became aware of this is reflecting back on my previous life. So it all started when I was younger. I lived in Vermont with, I'm the oldest of 9. So I had 6 brothers and sisters with me. We lived way out in the boondocks. We had no electricity, no water. We didn't have any guidance as far as support in going to school. We basically took care of ourselves. And within that, I realized that I didn't want to be in that space. So because there was no support, I ended up moving out when I was 14. And from that point, I honestly, at 14 years old, you're going around not doing much. I was partying, being on my own, doing what I wanted to do with no guidance. And from there, I realized as I reflect back now that I was just going in the momentum of life. I wasn't consistent in anything. I didn't think about anything. I just went one extreme to the other, and I was in a spiral. So as I grew older and I had my first son, I realized at that point that I wanted to be grounded and my energy shifted. So because of my upbringing, I wanted to have that guidance and support and be there for my kids. So I grounded myself into that. But what happened is I became so focused, so determined, so self-regulated and disciplined that I became really cold. I didn't trust people. I was in a marriage that was very abusive. So for me, my energy had shifted from this free range person that traveled and just did whatever she wanted to this really consistent, hard, cynical person. And because of that, things in my life were attracted to me because of that. I was consistently trying to earn my worth. I was trying to prove myself. I was trying to better myself. So I put myself through college. I had to be on Dean's List. I had to get certifications. I was proving myself, and nothing was ever good enough. And then from there, I found yoga. I found yoga because I was called the Ice Princess, and I didn't like how that felt. So I dove deep into vulnerability, opening myself up to trust, to believe in others and the potential of something bigger than what I had initially thought. And because of that work and reflection and stillness, I realized that I was in fact creating my life by the energies that I was living. So that was how I stumbled upon coaching and wanting to help people, and then going into human design, which I am a level 3 human design specialist. It's a certification. And when I found human design, it all made total sense as far as my life story, my life purpose. And it really gave me compassion to myself because of all the struggle that I had been through, because it was all there for a reason.
So let's talk about human design. What exactly is human design?
So human design is a combination of modalities. So it includes astrology, the chakras, the Hindu chakras, quantum physics, the Kabbalah, and there's one other one I'm missing. It's another traditional practice in there where we combine them as a collective so that we can use all the traditions that we've grown up with and through, and also bring in the new modern of modern physics. So I really love it because I am a traditionalist. I love tradition, yoga practice. I was very traditionalist with my teacher, very disciplined in that. And that aspect I really love. However, I also love that it's bringing in modern physics or quantum physics because it marries all of them together so that we can energetically align and create the life that we truly want with awareness.
You know, when I listen to you or when I hear you out, lots of thoughts kind of going through my head right now. So one of them being that we live in a very competitive world. We live in a world where success is measured by the dollars, the amount of dollars you bring home. And from childhood, you're geared up in order to make sure you have a great career, get a great education, great career, so you get a great job, and then you go and chase those dollars. That's kind of the standard principle of the way the world exists today. And when we think about that, and when we are talking about what you talk about in terms of energy blueprints and who are you truly and what do you really want, there's no time for that. And then the focus is so much on proving yourself, whether you're in school, whether you're got to get that next job, you got to look at what your peers are doing. Are you on par with them? Are you better or not? If not, how do you get there? There's so much noise going on, and it's not just with the kids. It travels through life, and there's a lot of middle-aged people going through the same thing today.
Mm-hmm.
So at what point do they pause and start thinking otherwise? So for some, it might be that, when they hit their middle age, they suddenly realize, okay, I've been chasing the wrong things. For some others, it may be disillusionment totally. Do you see those kinds of people?
Yes, and actually some of human design with the astrology aspect, it does go into certain ages that we have conflict or difficulties. So like age 28 usually is the Saturn return, which is usually a time of shifting. So that could be a negative or a positive. For me, it was a positive and a negative because that is when I chose to prepare myself to get out of my abusive marriage, which took me a year to get out safely with my kids. So at age 28, there's usually a shift with Saturn return. There's also a shift late 40s to 50s with the Chiron return. So all of that is in the blueprint that you receive when you put in your birthday, your birth time, and your birthplace. Now, as far as awareness and not having the time, I love that you said that because it doesn't really have to be all or nothing. It can be yes and. So yeah, you grew up and making yourself go through college and getting all the grades and then moving into a job and making the money. But if you don't feel fulfilled or you feel like something is missing, it doesn't take days. It just takes 3 to 5 minutes a day, for a consistent practice. 3 to 5 minutes a day to either journal and reflect, because everyone loves different things. You could take 3 to 5 minutes for meditation and stillness and quiet in nature. It doesn't have to be like this long 20 to 50 minutes, just consistent. So if you choose, I'm going to take 3 minutes a day and I'm going to breathe, be aware of my breath, because I love pranayama, breath techniques. Mm-hmm. So breathe for 3 minutes a day. Ask yourself how you feel, maybe jot it down or make a mental note and stay consistent there and see what happens. Because most likely you will fall off. You'll forget to do a day and then you'll get upset with yourself and then you won't do it for a month. But if you come back to it again and then start over, I like to use the analogy of my daughter when she was learning to walk. They crawl over to the couch, they pull themselves up, they turn around, they walk 1 or 2 steps, they fall down. They crawl over to the couch, they pull themselves up. So it's all about the repetition and not getting down on yourself for not making it happen right away. It's a journey. I know everyone says that. It is a journey. It is a process. It's not going to happen overnight. So if you give yourself something that is attainable to do every day and you attain it and feel good about yourself, then what will happen is you'll want to take that next step. Oh, you know what? In a month, I think I'm going to up 2 minutes. So I'm going to do 5 minutes a day. Mm-hmm. I've been doing a lot of self-awareness and learning practices about my self-study for about 10 years. And yes, there's times I fall off, but I'm compassionate to myself. I know I'm not going to get it right away, and that's okay. I'm trying, I'm moving forward, and I'm making progress.
So what you're saying is, people don't have to give up the kind of life that they have right now, or the competitive pursuit, but they can find time in order to enhance their own well-being by doing these things at certain points in time.
Yes, I love the saying yes and.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this. I hear what you say, pranayama and all. I do pranayama, by the way. It's been nothing more than conscious breathing, is the way I like to put it. And it can make a big difference in your energy levels, in your sleep patterns, for that matter. When you consciously take the time to notice how you breathe and do those exercises, and it clears your mind too. When you talk about the energy blueprint, can you explain what that is?
Yes, yes, yes. So I mentioned earlier that to find your energy blueprint, you put in you give your name, I'm sorry, your birthplace, your time of birth, and the date of birth. And from there, that enters in, and a blueprint or a body graph comes out. And what that is it's where the planets are located within the solar system when you're born. And then there's activations and there's openness. So the blueprint actually has open and defined centers. And what that means is the definition is your authentic self, where you have consistent energy. And then the openness is actually where you take in other people's energy and amplify it. So a lot of healing usually needs to occur in the openness, in the centers, because we take in other people's energies and we think it's our own. And then we start questioning ourselves and why we act a certain way around a person, or why we can't finish what we start. It becomes really clear on awareness on where you have consistent energy and where you don't. So you're able to compassionately say, oh, well, I know I don't have definition here. This is okay. So I'm all about compassion in yourself to move forward. We get down on ourselves too much to move forward. So when you know your energy blueprint, you have a clear vision of who you are consistently, and you have a clear vision in where you may have variability. So that is first and foremost. It goes into a lot of depth, but I always like to put that as the first element in learning how your energy is perceived in the world and how you receive energy as well.
So is that something that you provide?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. So what are the services you provide?
So I always start everybody with a free energetic blueprint. So I'll run your chart for you and I'll send it to you. If you want to have a 20-minute one-on-one with me, then I'll go into the blueprint with you. Otherwise, you do receive your chart. And then I have some courses. I have some programs that I offer and coaching on some of the things that come up as far as conditioning, your openness, your definition, what it means for you, how to step into your true self as an entrepreneur. Because in the energy blueprint, there are 5 different types of energies, and each type has a different way of responding in this world. So what that means is, as an entrepreneur, we're told to be initiators. We're told to get out there, be seen, be heard, ask, put your face out there, But in reality, initiator is actually a manifester in the energetic blueprint, and there's only 9% of the world that are initiators. Mm-hmm. So that means 9% are following their strategy and putting themselves out there as an entrepreneur. But the other percent, they're pushing and they're not waiting to respond. Like for generator types, we can inform, we can put our services out there, but we can't initiate. We have to wait for people to come to us and ask questions so we can respond to them. Otherwise, we end up pushing people away. So as far as entrepreneurs, knowing your energy blueprint will help you step into a new perspective in how to build your business so that you are aligned with your energy and not pushing people away, but actually bringing them in.
One of the sayings that you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. How does that play into this?
Well, as far as bringing in your energy potential, if you surround yourself with high achievers, like successful entrepreneurs, then yes, that raises your vibration. You push yourself a little higher. You have that energetic vibration that's a little higher. However, when you start to think about the blueprint and the 5 different types, what happens is you start to realize we all have a part in building a business. So some people, it might be more beneficial to collaborate with people so that they know I'm the initiator, I have the inspiration, I can respond, but I don't have the energy to finish. The generator has the energy to finish. So I want to collaborate with a generator so that we can work energetically together.
Mm-hmm. So, one of the things that you mentioned at the beginning was this chasing something there where you thought you were not enough. And, all constantly chasing it and constantly questioning yourself, constantly proving to yourself more than anybody else that you're enough. At what point and how did that switch happen where you realized that I'm enough as it is?
Well, it was a journey. There's like yoga, either peeling off the layers of the onion. I started realizing that I was enough through my coaching and getting coached myself. But then when I saw my energetic blueprint in my body graph, I saw that I have a defined will center. So what that means is I have consistency and willpower to push through anything. Even if I don't feel like doing it, I will push through it. And with a defined will, it is one of my traits or themes in my chart to prove myself. That I'm always trying to prove myself and to others that I'm good enough. So as soon as I realized that I had that defined in my chart, that's where the compassion came in. I was like, oh, well, now I understand why I'm like this.
Right.
Like this is a theme in my chart. So just that awareness made me first compassionate about myself and also let me step back and say, I don't have to prove myself. I am good enough.
We talked about pranayama and yoga and, some of the other practices. Is there a pattern to it when you talk about coaching and when you talk about your programs? Is this like an a la carte menu where people pick what they want? Or do you recommend that they do things in a certain fashion? How does it work with your coaching?
Yeah, so I love to start first with the energetic blueprint. So I know what type of person, energy you are. Then I'll do like a foundational call so that you can learn about yourself and learn about your blueprint. And if it interests you, then I do have a program that is all about self-study. So it's all about learning about your energetic blueprint, what that means to you, your open centers. So how I have this set up is actually you do a little bit of work on your own because it's internal. And then you have coaching with me to discuss things externally. And I also have pranayama in there as far as grounding practices so that they can open up their mind rather than making it happen with their mind, trying to let that mind control go. And then from there, my favorite part of this whole process is the community I have. So after you learn about yourself, you learn about your blueprint, you learn about what works for you in business, what will help you feel ease in business, then you can move on to this wonderful community that actually integrates continued learning. We meet every month and we do a practice of pranayama and breath together. We do group coaching, we do workshops. So it's like a process, self-awareness first, self-study, then community.
And then in terms of the expectations people would have or the results that they would get on a personal level as well as on a professional or a business level, what kind of changes have you seen with some of your people that you've coached?
Oh, the changes are well, I guess the easiest word to say is ease. First, they understand themselves better. They feel confident in who they are. The energetic blueprint does go deeper into your life purpose. So we can do some work on your life purpose, really what shows up for you, how you are to be in this lifetime, who you're supposed to be working with, connecting with. So it creates confidence, ease, community, friendship, that next to 5 people, that higher potential. So honestly, I feel like it's life-changing, and I've been told it's life-changing.
Awesome. And then, some of the elements of the energy blueprint, they kind of allude towards astrology. Is there a certain astrological practice that's coming into play here? Or does this have anything to do with a specific religion as such, or not necessarily?
No, it takes in different types of the astrology. So the conscious sun and the unconscious sun. Um, we go into the earth. So the conscious and unconscious earth, which is grounding practices that are good for you specifically based on your chart. Also, the moon shows you what you're here for, what you're here to do, your why, I guess. So the moon is your why. So really connecting with your why on the unconscious and the conscious level, and noticing where you are in those spaces. So a lot of the times we connect consciously to where we are on the conscious levels, but the unconscious is the deeper layer. So how can we get into that unconscious level so we're fully living our life purpose?
Mhm. What role does belief play in benefiting from these practices?
Belief what do you mean as far as belief?
Like would somebody need to really believe in the science of these energy blueprints and such, or can someone just come forward and say, let me experiment?
You can definitely come forward and say, let me experiment, because that's what I did. I didn't really understand it at first. I didn't know if I wanted to get certified. So what I did is I bought a book. I read the book within a week, and I was like, oh, there's something there for me. And then after, when I did my chart, like there were numerous times within my chart when I had the reading that seriously, it brought me to tears, because it grounded me into like, oh my gosh, yes, like I knew this, but I didn't know how I knew. Now I know. So now I'm confident in it. It kind of because with yoga and meditation, I feel like it's all internal, it's this feeling that we feel, but there's not anything that you can see except the way that you are acting. So when you see this in the chart and then you read it, it just kind of like, I remember grounding into my stomach, like, that's it. I can't believe it. I knew this, but now I definitely know.
Right. When you talked about human design, you talked about the different levels. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah. So right now I'm currently in level 4 with my teacher, Karen Curry Parker, who is amazing. Level 1 goes into the type and strategy and the centers. Or I'm sorry, type and strategy. So that's where you learn the types and how to put yourself out there. Level 2 goes into the centers. So that's more of the energies of the centers, which are based on the chakra system. Level 3 goes into the more of the astrology and the gates and the channels that are activated, so that you can learn your life purpose. You can learn why you're drawn to the same type of people as far as your relationships. You can learn about your children's charts. And then level 4 is how to tie them together.
Awesome.
Like in a coaching call.
So is this like a program by some specific group out there that does this? When you call it human design? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Karen Curry Parker is a seasoned. She's been coaching over 20 years. She actually did coach, or she was taught by Ra, who is the person that downloaded this information. So there is definitely her. If you want to get specialized, if you want to specialize in this, or something that you may want to go in as far as internally learning yourself, definitely check out Karen Curry Parker. She's amazing.
Awesome. So where do people find you? If someone is interested in getting an energy blueprint for that matter, where do they find you and how do they get in touch?
Yes, thank you. My website is miranda-mitchell.com. And when you go on there, you'll see a button that says Get My Free Chart. So you click on that and it will guide you through entering your birthday, your birth time, your birthplace. And from there, I run your chart by hand to make sure it's accurate. And I will send you a chart with a little mini reading and then an option to upgrade so that you can do a 20-minute one-on-one call with me, so we can actually go a little bit into your energetics.
Awesome. Well, this has been great, Miranda, learning about this is something different, what people generally don't know about and people generally don't hear about. So I'm sure it's intrigued quite a few listeners and they'll be back in touch. Before I let you go, one takeaway for the listeners, anything that you'd like to share from your personal experience that might benefit them?
Um, I'm a very big quote person, and I didn't bring it down with me. But there's always room for a higher potential of where you're at through your energetics.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today and walking us through all these amazing things, which I'm sure are pretty new to a lot of the listeners. I hope a lot of them get back in touch with you. Wish you the very best and hope to keep in touch.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate it.
Thank you.